Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is a locker cleanout day at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, as the Packers season obviously came to an end. And boy, oh boy, there is no shortage of topics to discuss. Breaking news everywhere across the board. We're going to continue to dive into it as the day goes out, or as we go throughout the day, I should say. Probably going to see 2 or 3 more live streams by the time the day is finished. So we're going to continue to bring these in rapid fashion. We got 2 topics for you here we're going to hit on this episode. Before we do, actually, just to give you a little preview here, Zach Tom injury update. I see people in the chat. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know, to be honest with you, man. I can see how people would say it's good. I can see how people would say it was bad. And, time will tell. One thing I will say about Zach Tom, he came back from that pec injury really, really fast. But it was confirmed there's going to be surgery. We're going to talk about a specific potential timeline for Zach Tom returning to the football field for the Green Bay Packers. We'll lead off with that. And then we're going to shift gears and talk about, have the Packers front office / committee / executive, I guess, branch, if you will, of their organization, have they been skimming on money for assistant coaches? This kind of caught me off guard, and this is old news that I just kind of uncovered. I was listening to the Wilde and Tao show earlier this morning, and Jason Wilde made a comment about Matt LaFleur being told no about a specific assistant he wanted to hire when he first got the head coaching job, which kind of trickled down. We're going to dive into that on the back half of the show. So that's what we got on tap for you guys. Zach Tom injury or the Packers skimming on assistants. Before we get into it, if you would, do that YouTube stuff for us. Hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your day. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Let's waste no time. Let's get into the Zach Tom conversation. And again, is it good? Is it bad? I'll let you guys and gals make the decision on that. And everybody, let us know in the chat. How do you feel about this situation with Zach Tom? Here are the details. All right. Zach Tom injury details revealed during locker room cleanout. So Wes Hodkiewicz tweeted out, tackle Zach Tom says it's likely he'll have surgery soon for a partially torn patellar tendon from the knee injury he suffered in Denver. So we're wondering, why didn't he play? Why didn't he play? I thought he was coming back last week. No, he can't. It's a partially torn tendon there, patellar tendon. Is that enough tough words for you, right? Now, Wes Hodkiewicz went on to tweet more from Zach Tom, and this is a quote from Zach Tom during locker room cleanout. Quote, "We thought we could do a PRP injection and it would get better come week 18 or playoff time, and it just didn't really improve as much as we wanted it to." So I immediately think of Varsity Blues, right? You guys ever seen Varsity Blues, where Billy Bob told Coach, I can't think of the coach's name, but he told the coach, if that needle gets anywhere near, his teammate's knee, he was going to rip his arms off and beat him to death with it. And he said it a lot more country than I just did. I promise you that. But it's immediately what I thought of. So they were planning on giving a shot, or they did do a shot, and they were hoping it would heal up by the time the playoffs got here, or even week 18. And obviously that did not happen. Okay. So I hate to say it, but we're seeing a common theme in Green Bay. Am I wrong, guys? Am I off my rocker here? Let us know in the chat. Am I wrong just feeling like, man, they're really mismanaging these injuries? I mean, how many times have you guys heard us say on this particular program, okay, well, they didn't put him on IR, which means he should be back at least in less than 4 weeks. And then a player will go more than 4 weeks without, being able to play. Am I wrong here? Am I putting too much on the training staff going, what's going on here? How do we keep misdiagnosing or mismanaging how long a player is going to be out? That's just really, really strange to me. Now, let's talk about the details of what this injury is. did some research. And again, research always on this show comes down to multiple AI platforms going through medical sources based off of history and what other players have dealt with and how long it took them to come back. There's no two players that are exactly the same, just trying to give everybody a rough outline, all right, of exactly what this partially torn patellar tendon means, all right? And this is what we came up with for a player of his size, workload, and importance. The Packers would be very conservative, they think, okay? I think we would agree they have been conservative in the past as well. Although, you ask David Bakhtiari, he probably disagrees, right? I mean, he's been very vocal that that situation was mismanaged, which kind of cost him the back end of his career. I feel comfortable saying that was his essentially. And I tagged him in a tweet. I'm hoping he responds and lets us know how he feels about this. But here is the projected return window for Zach Tom. Functional football shape, 6 months from the surgery. Again, he hasn't had the surgery yet. From the time he has the surgery, they're looking at 6 months. Full game readiness, you're looking at 7 to 9 months. Now, you immediately go 7 months, July, we're good, right? That's the good news, you would think. However, with a player of his size, they're saying offensive linemen are closer to the 9 month. If it's the 9 month, still, that's going to be September. That would think, is he going to be ready week 1? I don't know. It depends on how he heals up, right? But again, we were kind of led to believe, and listen, it's our fault, right? It is our fault that, and I say our, I don't want to put words in your all's mouth. It's my fault, okay? That I kind of assume, okay, they didn't put him on IR immediately. This isn't that bad. He'll definitely be ready for week 1 next year. Now we're kind of bleeding into, will he be ready for week 1, right? Why Zach Tom's timeline skews cautious? He's a core starter. Teams do not rush cornerstone offensive linemen, especially ones who can play multiple spots. Medical staff priority is long-term tendon health and avoiding compensatory injuries like a quad, a hip, opposite knee. We always talk about this. Typically, when somebody tears something up in their knee and it's the opposite leg, the casual fan will go, well, it had nothing to do with that. It was the opposite leg. No, these things go hand in hand together. You're putting more strain on the other side, whether it's throughout the training process, no matter how much you try to beat into your brain. And Emilio hit on this several times. He had a torn ACL when he played college. What is it? I always make fun of him before I get into mixed up now. I think I always say field hockey, and he actually played lacrosse. He gets mad when I do that. So we shout out to Emilio. But you talk about you start to lean on that a little bit more. You're not trusting that knee as much as you did, right? And that could put strain on the other one. Or if you have to wear a brace on that knee, sometimes it can throw stuff a little off tilt on the other side, and that's how you end up messing up the opposite leg, right? So you want to avoid those compensatory injuries. His game is leverage and explosion, right? Leverage plus explosion. He wins with quick knee bend, anchor strength, and repeated explosive sets. That's something offensive linemen. That's why we look at the explosion grade. We're getting ready to get into draft season here, and we're going to be covering every step of the way. We're going to talk about an explosive grade, right? An explosive measurement is typically broad jump and vertical jump, right? That shows you how explosive a player's legs are. That goes hand in hand. That's why that's important. Some people go, I don't care about the vertical jump of an offensive lineman. You should, because you want to know how much explosion they have in their legs, right? 3, Packers medical philosophy. Green Bay historically lets linemen finish full tendon remodeling, often delays return even after medical clearance, uses snap limits early if return happens in season. There is this big conception that the Packers are conservative with injuries. However, if you go ask a player like David Bakhtiari and others, they felt like they didn't like how the practice workload was handled. Maybe they got rushed back a little bit, right? And again, go look up his opinion. I don't want to put too many words into his mouth. He's been pretty vocal about it. I think he did an interview too. It might have been was it Bussin' with the Boys or another podcast where he kind of talked a little bit about that whole situation, right? So you, like I said, do your own research there. So Packers style timeline for Zach Tom in a 0 to 8 weeks. So the first 8 weeks, rehab, quad activation, swelling, elimination. We get the swelling down as soon as possible. No timeline pressure there, obviously. In the first 2 to 4 month range, strength, symmetry, focus, controlled stance and mirror drills. No true anchor reps yet. Okay. 4 to 6 month range, you're looking at footwork, lateral movement, light contact. This is where Green Bay evaluates, quote, can he anchor repeatedly? And in the 6 to 7 month range, practice window return, okay? Practice return window, limited reps, no back-to-back heavy days. So you're going to kind of ease you into the practice process. And then in the 7 to 9 month range, game clearance window, likely manage reps initially to make sure the player's comfortable with those said reps, right? So that's kind of a quick little timeline of a perfect scenario. If there's no setbacks with the surgery, they don't get in there and realize, oh, there's something else wrong. All those things matter as well, right? Roster and season implications. If the surgery is in the offseason, which it is, Packers likely plan for him to be ready mid-season, not week 1, is what it's saying. If surgery was late season, strong chance he's effectively a redshirt year, okay? Packers would prioritize playoff availability over regular season games, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line for Zach Tom, here we go. Earliest aggressive return, if you're going to be really aggressive with Zach Tom, 6 months, okay? Most realistic return is 7 to 8 months, back to full dominance, year 2. So it might not be until 2027 that Zach Tom returns to his true form. Now, some players you see, Christian Watson came back better, the first year. I feel like he played better this year than he did any other year in the league. I think everybody would probably agree with that based off the stats and analytics and watching the tape, right? So maybe that's Zach Tom. And in recent history, that was kind of the thing with him. Like, I was surprised he came back from the pec injury so quick. Like, he came back and he was the same player too. Luckily, he was able to do that, protect his status, protect his value, and get the contract extension, right, which he rightfully deserved. And then, of course, it's just asked me for another breakdown. Now, David Bakhtiari, he tweeted this out the other day about Jordan Love. Packers are in good hands with Jordan Love, going to keep them competitive for a long time. Next year, the biggest opponent, injuries, with an eye emoji, okay, eyes emoji. Need the sports science department to get it right. Enough is enough. So, again, that's why I tagged him in the tweet. Hopefully he'll respond and kind of give his take on the Zach Tom thing, because he's acknowledging it here, right? Like, hey, and again, we've asked the question. We're not trying to pin the blame on anybody. We're looking around going, okay, who do you blame? Is it the training staff's problem? Because remember, we changed up the training staff big, if I remember correctly, right? That happened like it was either last year or the year before, because we were having was it the hammy injuries, right? That issue. So you changed up the training staff quite a bit. Okay. Is it the coaches' problem? Is it their fault? Are they working these guys too hard? They can't work them too hard, guys. It's an even playing field. The CBA makes each team practice an equal amount, and they've got player reps, union representatives in the building watching the practices. And that's how sometimes they'll get hit with a fine or a penalty, or they'll file a grievance, because they take it out of the players' hands and go, you know what? We'll have one player rep, one union rep in-house, maybe even more, I don't know, but they'll have at least one in there making sure things are going as planned and they're not overworking these guys. So it can't be the coaches. So is it the training staff, or is it how we're drafting? I know some people love Brian Gutekunst. I'm a fan of Brian Gutekunst. I think he's a good general manager. But at what point do we ask that question, right? Do we say, okay, maybe there's something we're overlooking? Now, we need to do an extensive study across the league and see just how bad the Packers stack up injury-wise, because sometimes we can all kind of get lost in this echo chamber being Packer fans, right? And we can kind of think, oh, all we watch is the Packers, so it feels like this is way worse than it is across the league. And maybe it's not that bad. So we need to do some extensive research there. But again, man, how are we drafted? Are we not being cautious enough with past injuries? Are our doctors, when we have those top 30 visits, which you guys know we draft a lot of these 30 visits, right? Is that something that needs to be reevaluated, that we need to maybe be a little more cautious in that? I don't know. To the best of my knowledge, Zach Tom didn't have injury problems coming out of college, right? I don't think Bach did, but this is on the backside of Bach's career and players break down, right? Christian Watson, I don't think he had injury problems, and we seen the hammy issue kept surfacing. Now, what did they do? They sent him outside of the building, if I remember correctly. Was it to Madison, University of Wisconsin at Madison, maybe, their medical place, and had them take a look at Christian Watson and figure out what was going on, and they found out what the problem was and fixed it, right? How about you get a couple of those guys on staff in Green Bay? That could help, right? So, again, I'm eager to know what everybody's thoughts are on this. Let us know in the comments. How do y'all feel? And I see your boys here. I can't put yours up, Joseph. I echo the sentiment. He says something that's not – you go, why can't you put that up? Trust me. You got to be really careful with phrases that may sound like something that they're not on YouTube, because you'll get booted out of the algorithm really, really quick. Chris the Cash Win said, this is bad news. I'm kind of in the middle, Chris. I don't think it's horrible news, but I do think I wasn't expecting this. Let's put it that way. I didn't expect Zach Tom to pop up and go, yeah, we got to have surgery. And it's looking like I might not be ready for 7 to 9 months. He didn't say that, but that's what the normal, timeline is. So I don't think it's horrible news, Chris, but I don't think it's great news. I'm right in the middle. Like, I guess it is bad news. I think you said it right. Yeah, I wouldn't consider it good. If it's not good, it's probably bad, right? Yeah, I try not to look at anything on a sliding scale of things just stay the same, right? So, yeah, very, very interesting there. Goose chimes in. Good to see you, buddy. Says, didn't draft Parsons, right? So, with Parsons, however, we didn't draft him, but this is the first major knee injury Parsons has had, right? Since he's been in Green Bay, now he has a knee injury. I don't want to completely throw that to the side, Goose, and be like, not that you are, but I'm just saying, like, okay, it's not something to do with our training staff, because obviously you got to include the training staff. Like, is there something we did wrong? Did they not detect something too? Right. And I don't know. There was no reports of that. And again, I have no reason to think that. I'm just trying to, like I said, man, like Box said, right? And again, this is the guy who's lived it, right? Need the sports science department to get it right. Enough is enough. Right. And again, he was talking about just injuries in general there, obviously. So, but he said Kraft didn't have injury problems. Maybe it's how we practice. Maybe it's the staff. Maybe it's dumb luck. I would put it on more on the staff and the dumb luck. It can't be how we practice, right? Because again, we've got reps in there that are making sure, union reps that are making sure everything is going as presented by the rules. And I'm not saying that as if like, oh, Clayton's got inside information. No, we've seen teams get hit with fines and penalties for doing stuff they're not supposed to do, right? And I don't know if the Packers, since Matt LaFleur has been here, has ever done that. So, but going to be really interesting to see how that all unfolds. But if you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about the Zach Tom information? Maybe you see it as a big nothing burger. Maybe you're kind of like me, like kind of neutral. I don't think it's great news, but I don't think it's horrible news. Maybe you think this is bad news and there's more of this to come. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Now let's shift gears and talk about something else here real quick. And again, right around this time, it just seems like more information gets out during locker cleanout. And this had nothing to do with locker cleanout, really. It was just on the Wildy and Tausch show. They said something that I remember this being reported before. I remember briefly hearing stories about, well, it wasn't the top choice. And I got to be honest with you guys, I'm so embedded in the tape. I watch the tape, try to break down. And the off season, before I was doing the podcast, you know what this was for me in the off season was I would always shift gears and I'd make myself listen to two pretty extensive football audiobooks during the off season, so I can kind of be feeding my brain on football, both past and present. I usually try to get one from the past, like the Bill Walsh book. I love, go back and listen to it. Michael Lombardi, Gridiron Genius, about Bill Belichick and Bill Walsh and Al Davis and all of them. Go listen to it. And then try to get something like a Bobby Peters book here and learn a little bit about that was when you had to physically read, where you could kind of learn about the current offenses, right? And specifically in Green Bay. So I try to focus on that stuff, so I don't keep up with some of these other side stories. But this was really interesting, man. And I just put a little article together again over here on Patreon. You can find this at patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. It's the best way to support what we do here at PTA. People ask, hey, man, I want to support the show. Do you have a Cash App? I don't have a Cash App we use. Can I send it on Zelle? We don't have that. We don't have, basically, you join our Patreon community. It's $3, and you get access to everything there. You're supporting the show. You get extra content. You also got chats, a community to connect with in there as well. So you guys can go check that out. That's where I threw this in at, just to kind of hit on it. Packers have been skimming on assistants. This was really interesting to me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play an audio here for you guys and gals. And let's get us a nice little memory here of the Josh Jacobs room where he ran through the Bears in that first meeting. All right. Love that shot. So this is the audio from Wildy and Tausch earlier today. Okay. And I tagged Jason Wildy in a tweet because I screen recorded this video, this audio rather. And I actually sent it to him and said, hey, if you guys tweet this out, let me know. I'll delete the tweet. I don't want to steal your content, but this is just an excellent piece here that I thought was interesting information. So wanted to throw it out there for everybody. I want to get everybody's take on it in the chat. Here's what we got. Okay. This was on Wildy and Tausch earlier today. What's the big talking point in Green Bay? Obviously, it's Matt LaFleur's job security. Is he going to be let go? Are they going to trade him? What are they going to do there? Is he going to be back with a contract extension? The fan base is kind of somewhat split. It's closer to split now than it's ever been. However, I think the majority still want him back, but it's gotten that minority group has grown a lot. But also, Rich Bisaccia always gets brought up, right? So Rich Bisaccia, how did he end up in Green Bay? We hired him, if I remember correctly, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, in 2022. We hired Rich Bisaccia, right? He was the highest touted special teams coordinator target on the market. No one denies that. You will not find anybody that the day that they signed Rich Bisaccia, where that people were vocal going, oh, this is a horrible hire. Everybody was like, this is one of the best special teams coordinators in the game. He was an interim head coach and seen success as a leader and a head coach of the Raiders for that year, whatever it was, half a year when John Gruden got let go. This is a guy that was widely or highly respected all throughout the entire National Football League, right? All of that. So when they hired him, it's just like, okay, that's the best guy on the market. If you go back to 2019 when Matt LaFleur was hired, listen to this audio from Jason Wilde. Again, this is Jason Wilde on Wilde and Tausch earlier today.
This out amid all the complaints in the YouTube comments that Matt LaFleur in 2019 wanted to hire Darren Rizzi and was told they weren't spending the money that Darren Rizzi was commanding. And Darren Rizzi has now had some head coaching interviews. So
now listen, obviously Jason's pointing out in 2019, Matt LaFleur wanted to hire Darren Rizzi as his special teams coordinator. We're going to talk about who Darren Rizzi is here in a second, and you guys will be the judge of whether that would have been a good hire or not, okay? So this is 2019. All right. Now, Tauscher, this little comment coming right here, you heard Wilde say that, and he's gotten head coaching offers. Listen to Tauscher real quick.
Maybe.
So did Bisaccia, though, too.
Sure, but maybe.
All right, he said, so did Bisaccia. So I love Tauscher. But Mark Tauscher, he's a big fan of Goody. He defends Goody. I've never heard him criticize. I mean, I don't want to say never. He doesn't criticize Brian Gutekunst much. He tends right now, and again, you guys go listen to their show, it feels like Mark Tauscher wants Matt LaFleur fired. That's what it feels like to me. I could be wrong. Again, you guys go listen to the show and you be your own judge of that. But when someone mentioned Goody today, he got a little defensive, right? Like no, Goody's off limits. But yeah, it might be a Matt LaFleur thing. Now, they didn't mention the age of the team. Maybe they don't care. I don't know. You guys know my opinion of that. I think you need to get some more veterans in here, or else you're going to continue to have collapses. You're going to continue to have tough penalties. Young players, the upside to young players is we don't know what their ceiling is. They've got the potential through the wazoo. The downside is they're inexperienced and they're going to make mistakes, right? It's just a reality of the situation. And injuries are going to occur with younger players too, more so or more than people want to admit, because they're used to playing at the college level. They ain't used to playing with these grown-ass men in the NFL, right? That's just a reality of it. So listen what Wilde goes on to say here.
That doesn't mean jack.
It doesn't. But,
it doesn't mean jack. Okay. All right.
But he's still considered, and again, so was Rich Bisaccia when they got the job here. I think there are going to be changes. I don't think it's going to be the way Thomas in Chicago depicted it of, you're going to have to run the team the way we want you to if you want to keep your job, and you will be neutered.
If you're telling them you got to reshuffle staff, that's kind of what you're telling them.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I'm not sure. And Matt LaFleur does not have a great track record of being capable of firing people.
And listen, I'm a Matt LaFleur fan. That is true. He is loyal to his guys. I think he believes in culture. I think he believes in, all right, if every time the wind blows the wrong way and we fire somebody, these guys are going to start looking around at me, and the players are going to start looking around like, does this guy know what the hell he's doing? Like, you've got to give it a chance to kind of play out, right? And that's why I have a problem with the young roster.
He had trouble firing previous special teams coordinators. But I think that he, down deep inside, as much as he may hate that, I think he recognizes that there need to be changes.
So again,
this out amid all the complaints in the YouTube comments that Matt LaFleur in 2019 wanted to hire Darren Rizzi and was told they weren't spending the money that Darren Rizzi was commanding.
So that's the point there. That in 2019, right? In 2019, Matt LaFleur wanted to hire Darren Rizzi as the special teams coordinator. And he was told, no, that's too much money. Listen, I don't know if Darren Rizzi was asking from Green Bay. Maybe he was asking a ton of money. I don't even know if Darren Rizzi would be the right fit. But the fact that you just literally ran out winning head coach and you said, all right, we need to shake things up. We need to hire a new coaching staff. All right, this is the guy who's going to lead us to the promised land, Matt LaFleur. And he comes up and goes, hey, this special teams coordinator right here, this is our guy. We don't want to pay that much for us. What the hell are we doing? Unless he was asking for head coach money. My goodness. You know, am I wrong there, guys? Am I the only one that feels that way? Now, listen, I know that we are a publicly owned team. I know that we don't have the empty pocketbooks that other owners have, but let's not kid ourselves into thinking we don't have a nice little piggy bank to be able to put the best product on the field, right? Or the best coaching staff on the field. I heard that. I remembered something like that being reported before, but Wildy throwing it out there really got me going like, this whole time, we ran the old special teams coordinator out of town. He sucked. You go and you get the most decorated guy on the market at the time. Again, whether you think he is now or not, at the time, he was the dude, Rich Bisaccia. And then we come to find out in 2019, Matt LaFleur wanted to hire a guy. And I'm going to hit a tweet here in a second, okay? We'll come back to Darren Rizzi and who he is. I want to hit this tweet real quick because this was interesting. When I tweeted this out, this is one of the comments, and shout out to James McLean. Whether I disagree with his take or not, this ain't meant to be dunking on anybody or be disrespectful. I like to see people's opinion. This conversation was interesting. He said, how does this make sense when they had no issue making Bisaccia the highest paid special teams coordinator in the league? Clearly, if Rizzi was asking for more than that, he'd be making it. No. Watch this. Now, listen, there's going to be some language in this next one. This is Twitter. This is the way it goes, so don't let your kids read this. I'm not going to read the bad word out loud. This guy, Fames, I guess it is on Twitter, said this was before the complete effing meltdown in the playoff games. After that, they realized stuff's messed up, and dear God, we made a mistake. So let's go back. You guys remember the special teams gaffes in the playoffs, right? That happens. And then in 2022, they finally said, okay, yeah, we need to spend money on a special teams coordinator. But now at that time, Rich Bisaccia is the best choice. You go get him, right? The part that bothers me is Matt LaFleur's been raked over the coals over this. It's his fault. He's the one who hired Rich Bisaccia. And then it sounds to me like at the time, shortly there before that, he had another guy he wanted, and the team wouldn't back that. They wouldn't pay it. That's just wild to me. It really, really is, man. So let's talk about it. And I see the super chat from Airborne Outlaw. Thank you so much for the super. I'm going to hit it at the end there. Any of your supers, guys, get them in now. I'll read them at the end of the show here. Greatly appreciate everybody jumping in. So coaching history, he started coaching. Darren Rizzi started coaching in 1993. He was 23 years old at Colgate. Okay. He was a graduate assistant, which is typically where guys get their coaching start for the most part. Right. So 94, he goes to New Haven. He's there for 4 years. He was special teams / defensive line, then a defensive coordinator. And then he gets the job at Northeastern in 1998. He was a special teams coordinator / linebackers coach. And then he goes back to New Haven, it looks like, as the head coach in 1999. He was a 29-year-old head coach. This is Division II, New Haven, head coach for 3 years. And then he goes to Rutgers in 2002 as a special teams coordinator. He was a special teams coordinator for the first 2 years. He remained the special teams coordinator for the next 4 years, but he was also promoted to assistant head coach at Rutgers. That was all the way through 2007. He gets a head coaching job at Rhode Island in 2008. So there he's 38 years old. At this point, guys, I mean, how much he's already got 15 years of coaching experience up to his first head coach or his second head coaching job. So this is a guy that's been around for a while. He makes his break into the NFL in 2009. He was the Miami Dolphins assistant special teams coordinator again. The second year, he was an interim special teams coordinator there as well, or he was an assistant on the special teams. I apologize. In 2011, he gets promoted to special teams coordinator with the Miami Dolphins. He held that title all the way through 2016, kept it the next 2 years, but he was also promoted to associate head coach. Okay. I don't think that's a typo. I think it's associate head coach and not assistant head coach. And then in 2019, he was hired as the special teams coordinator with the New Orleans Saints. He maintained that for 3 years and then was promoted to assistant head coach in 2022. And then in 2024, he was the interim head coach, kind of like Rich Bisaccia, right? Rich Bisaccia was the interim head coach in Vegas. This is what happened in 2024 last year in New Orleans when they fired, was it Dennis Allen they fired, I guess? So he was the interim head coach. And then this year, our boy Sean Payton with the Denver Broncos, they've had a pretty good year, right? He said, that's my dude. I want him to be my special teams coordinator. I want him to be my assistant head coach. So the point of this is that's an extensive coaching history. That's a solid candidate to be a special teams coordinator. That was Matt LaFleur's top choice in 2019. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. Okay. Now, who said no? I don't know the exact answer to this, but I want to get everybody's take on it. Okay. This is what we came up with. I asked multiple platforms using AI. Hey, who do you think made this decision? Because I don't think it was specifically reported. This is what we came up with. All right. The specific person inside the Packers organization who denied the request was Russ Ball. At the time, Russ Ball was executive vice president, director of football operations. He had final authority over coaching contracts and compensation. So Brian Gutekunst is finding the talent, right, with the players, but it's Russ Ball who makes the final say in terms of how the contract structure, this and that. To the best of my knowledge, Russ Ball has never told Brian Gutekunst, no, you can't have this player. Okay, I don't think that's ever happened. I don't want to misconstrue this. But while Mark Murphy, team president, oversaw the organization, reporting consistently points to Russ Ball as the internal decision maker who declined to approve the salary Rizzi wanted. So it sounds like Russ Ball was the one who said no, and Mark Murphy was allowing Russ Ball to do his job. You're going, who's Russ Ball? If you're new here, Russ Ball is still with the team, basically with the same job. Okay, he's still here doing that. That decision ultimately led Rizzi to take the New Orleans Saints special teams job while Green Bay hired a lower cost alternative, a move that later became a major talking point given the Packers' long-running special team struggles. You guys remember, cost us a lot of playoff success there in 2019. So, when Matt LaFleur came in, won 13 games, and special teams were crap in the bed constantly, right? Well, we're still kind of here, aren't we? So this kind of goes into that category with, all right, which is it, right? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it the fact that we aren't willing to pay guys top money? Not anymore, because we went and paid Rich Bisaccia, although it's obvious that was not the top choice. It would have been Rizzi would have been the top choice if money wasn't an issue. So at the time, you blame Russ Ball and whoever was involved in that decision to go to Matt LaFleur and say no. And this is what gets me a little bit with this, guys. I want to get my take here on this. And we already hit that, so we're good. All right, yeah, we're up to date. So this is what I want to say about this. In the old days, there used to be, listen to me, Papaw Bailey. Everybody pull up a tree stump. Let's talk about it. In the old days, there was always a problem with coaches wanting to be able to control their roster, right? How many times, like, the Bill Parcells famous quote, they want you to cook the meal, they at least should let you shop for the groceries, right? Well, those days are kind of gone for the most part, right? You got general managers that make the decision. I mean, we've seen it with Mike McCarthy. They asked Mike McCarthy about a kicker that they had picked up or a player they had picked up, and he go, who? Yeah, this is the first time hearing of it. Like, the front office didn't even tell McCarthy when they were going to sign somebody, right? That has since changed. Those silos have been brought down, right? That's what Mark Murphy restructured everything for. So now, in this case, the guy on the right here, Ed Policy, that's Russ Ball in the middle, Ed Policy on the right, Mark Murphy on the left. Now, unless they change the structure and we didn't know about it, the way it works is all three answer to Ed Policy now, just like they did Mark Murphy. That's what Mark Murphy changed. And I think that was a good structural change. So it wasn't like the head coach was finding out about the general manager making a signing. They now come together and they have a meeting consistently with the president, the acting president, which in this case is Russ Ball, or in this case is Ed Policy. They now sit down, right? And Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, Russ Ball, and Ed Policy sit down. They make these decisions. I don't want to say together because Ed Policy will have the final say if no structure is changed, but that's how that works, right? Before it wasn't like that. I say all that because there was a time when head coaches had a lot more say in their roster. They don't have hardly any say in that now, right? I mean, they can give their opinion, but the general manager has the final say there. And in this case, Ed Policy can approve it or disapprove it, right? Now, with that being said, now we've gotten to the point where coaches can't even pick their assistants. What the hell are we doing? Am I wrong there? Am I being too rigid? Let me know in the chat right now. Am I being too rigid on that stance? Like, so not only do the coaches not get to pick their players they're coaching, but now, and again, this was 2019. This was some time ago, and he did get to finally get Rich Bisaccia, but has it really got to the point where we can't pick our coordinators? Now, you'll notice he did choose Bisaccia, and we know that Matt LaFleur, that got reported, that Jeff Hafley was his choice, and I'm sure he bounced it off Mark Murphy, but they let him ultimately make that choice. They got Hafley. That was a hell of a hire, right? So I don't want to sit here and pretend like Matt LaFleur is bad at hiring. I mean, he's the one who found Hafley. And there wasn't, I don't care what anybody says, there was nobody before that name was mentioned going, Jeff Hafley, Boston College, that needs to be your DC. They weren't doing that. The second it was mentioned, all of a sudden fans came out of the woodwork. Oh, yeah, I remember him at Ohio State. Yeah, I remember him there. I remember him there, right? How do you guys feel about that? It's really, really, I don't know, it's interesting. Let's see what Wool Daddy says here. In my opinion, our special teams kerfuffle, I love that word, is a product of individual player performance and not the special teams coordinator. I tend to agree with you. Like I said, I don't know if you guys seen the video that Rob Domofsky put out, the all 22 of one of the missed kicks. We had 11 people on, or we had 10 people on the field for that kick. 10. Now, immediately people will go, well, that's on Rich Bisaccia not having enough guys on the field. Boys, I'm sorry. I hate to say this, but if you are a special teams player and you forget to run onto the field, that's your job. If you forget to run onto the field, I don't put that on a special teams coordinator. What the hell are we coaching, Pee Wee? So I'm with you, Will Daddy. I can see your point there. I see the stance there, right? Jen Wright said it's a bigger structural problem in Green Bay, Clayton. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean there, Jen. It's a bigger structural problem. Maybe you're agreeing with kind of what we just talked about, right? That it's more structured than it is the players on the field. I always take into account, and we've talked about this extensively on this particular program, where West Coast offense-based general managers, they typically don't put a whole lot of focus on special teams. It's all about finding that next great athlete, that next great person that could maybe take the top off the defense, or that next cornerback that ran a 4.2 40 or 4.3 40, right? Or a size. This guy's 6'4", man. He's got all kinds of potential. He played like cheeks in college, but boy, he's an athletic freak. Those type of guys, right? I think that can kind of play a role in that as well. Chester Marco in the chat. Best profile pic on YouTube, by the way. The kicking problem started with the Anders Carlson, Mason Crosby disaster. Okay, got it. Appreciate it, bud. Appreciate your opinion. Let me get these supers, and I apologize for that, Airborne. Thank you so much, man. This is very generous of you. With the super chat, Airborne Outlaw 21 says, longtime listener, love the job you guys do. Now a Patreon member as well. Thank you for all you guys. Hey, thank you so much for the support, Airborne. We appreciate you, bud. Thank you for jumping in the Patreon group. I think you'll enjoy it, and greatly, greatly appreciate that generosity there. Yeah, like I said before, you guys got tired of hearing it. The listeners, the viewers are what makes this show, man. Love getting in here and chatting ball with y'all. Thank y'all so much for that. Mike Witt with the super chat says, if Matt stays, then I would fire Butkus, demote Steno to offensive line coach, hire McDaniel as OC, then hire Raheem Morris when Hafley gets a head coaching job. And I think Bisaccia retires this offseason. I like it. Have no qualms with that whatsoever, bub. We agree with it. I agree with everything there. The Raheem Morris thing, I'll push back just a bit, Mike, because I would rather see, okay, who are the top candidates, right? And compare and contrast to Raheem. And Raheem may be the better choice, right? He may be. But there might be another Jeff Hafley out there somewhere too. So I'm not saying I disagree with Raheem Morris. I'm just ignorant to whether or not there's other better options at DC if Hafley does get a head coaching job. Which, by the way, did you guys see Micah Parsons? Well, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Thank you for that, Super Mike. Did y'all see Micah Parsons' latest tweet? I won't put it on the screen. We'll probably hit on it here in a little bit. Like I said, we're going to be doing multiple live streams throughout the day. Micah Parsons spoke on the Matt LaFleur thing. Josh Jacobs spoke on it. Jordan Love spoke on it. All of them want Matt LaFleur back. They think it's a bad idea to run Matt LaFleur out of town. Now, Micah also said, and we'll hit on it here a little bit later. I'm grinning like a possum in a dumpster right now. He said, Jeff Hafley ain't going nowhere. And he grinned. Now, does he know something we don't know? I don't know. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. That'll be on the next stream. Okay, I will make sure I work that in. We'll get the players' take on whether Matt LaFleur should be back and other news that breaks out of the locker room cleanout. Man, this is a big day. Again, this is kind of, I hate that we lost. I hate the season's over, but this is kind of exciting. Is anybody else getting excited? But I'm already getting excited about the next season and what changes we need to make, right? Is Matt LaFleur going to be back? Hell, maybe he finds somebody better. I don't know. You guys know where I stand. I think Matt LaFleur should be back. That's my opinion. But I can't like beat people down if they want to try something new. I get that, completely understand, But I get it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the Packers potentially skimming on those assistants? Have we fixed that problem now? Hopefully it's behind us, although we still got problems. Who do you want as special teams coordinator? All that stuff we talked about. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Stephanie asks, why would Micah say that? What does he know? We're going to say, everybody is hearing my voice right now in the live chat. Go do the research. Get ready for the conversation here a little bit. Hop back in here. We'll talk about it. And you guys let me know what you know as well. That's it. We're out of here. We'll see y'all probably in an hour or two for any other news that breaks. Like I said, we got a couple other stories that we need to hit as well. But thank y'all so much. Do me a big, big favor. Hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. We'll see you guys in a little bit. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.